Hey folks, today is Friday, November 9th, 2024. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. If you celebrate Thanksgiving wherever you are, in the world, the country, whatever, hope you had a good one. I have a food hangover. Do you know what that, like, does anyone have, like, not from alcohol, like, I feel destroyed just because of the sheer amount of food I ate. So what I'm trying to say is stick with me, this is gonna be a rough one, but we do have some news we gotta jump into in the gaming world. The first thing is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now, we haven't talked about this game too much. You know, it's definitely more of a hardcore enthusiast type game, but unfortunately, it did suffer what many would call a disastrous launch. Yes, two of your favorite words together, flight and disaster. Not something fans were hoping for, and probably Microsoft too. It's been a bit now. The game launched November 19th, I believe, but if you check reviews, they're pretty mixed. They were really a lot more negative. They've trended upward now, but essentially the thing had a borked launch in terms of servers and stuff, which is one thing when you can't get online, yes, but with Flight Simulator being structured almost completely around cloud streaming assets to get those incredible visuals, it meant a lot of people excited to jump into this new generation of Flight Simulator couldn't access their game. People were essentially stuck sitting around waiting for it to load, and then when it finally loaded, it wouldn't work. And that is incredibly frustrating, especially when you look at Microsoft, and being a huge billion-dollar company with a lot of their money invested in cloud computing. It led rightfully to a lot of, angry reviews. Now, a week later or so now, we finally now, as of this morning, have confirmation that these issues have been resolved from the developers, Asobi themselves. There are still issues, but they said specifically the big ones, the ones that people were kind of review bombing about, accessing the game, and then the streaming issues have been resolved. They said now, and I quote, reliability is now above 99.999%. Okay, cool. And that's interesting because a lot of people wanted to jump into this. This is the next generation of Flight Simulator. Flight Simulator 2020 was received really well, and this one does as well. It's got a lot to it. Quality of life updates that people have been asking for, a bunch more content, some actually pretty exciting stuff. So here's hoping now Flight Simulator can fly and have a good long life, because these games always serve as good platforms for modders, air community people, hardcore flight sim enthusiasts, all types of people. So yeah, hopefully a happy ending to the Flight Simulator 2024 debacle. But in other news, there is a rumor floating around now that Sony is jumping back into the handheld game. Yes, a report from Bloomberg reporting from Japan says that sources familiar with the matter are saying that Sony is working on a handheld once again, now essentially to compete with, the powerhouse handheld numbers of the Nintendo Switch, and also the fact that, like we've talked in the past, Microsoft is saying that they've also been prototyping a sort of Xbox handheld. So I think that's pretty cool as a Vita fan. I would love for this to be a PlayStation Vita 2, but reports are suggesting that this is a handheld that will play dedicated PS5 games. So I look at this less of a fun, new, innovative thing like the PSP or the Vita, or what a Vita 2 would be, and more just another way for PlayStation to get their stuff out there, like how Microsoft puts their games on PlayStation now, and how Microsoft lets you stream Xbox games on your PC, your phone, or whatever. I see this as one of the ways Sony is exploring getting their stuff out there to get a bigger customer base, to get more people interested in buying their big PlayStation games and subscribing to their PlayStation services. This is probably a ways out, and I'm curious to see how it goes, because as much as I still don't like streaming games, the technology has improved quite a bit, and it seems like some people are really enjoying that with the PlayStation Portal and stuff. So we'll just have to see how this goes. My question is what are they going to call it? Are they going to call it a Vita again? I really doubt it, but I would love to know if you have any naming ideas. Let us know in the comments. Now in some bummer news, 2 studio closures. 2 games development studios closing their doors before we even got to see what they were working on. The studio Worlds Untold, that was founded in 2023 with veterans from Metal Gear Solid, Halo, and most specifically Dragon Age. They had left to work on something. And then another studio, Humanoid Origin. This was headed up by Casey Hudson, the former Mass Effect director. So the way I look at it, it's 2 new studios founded by people from Bioware, people who had left Bioware, like not responsible for, like Anthem or like, Dragon Age and stuff like that, but like people who had been back during the glory days, right? Like KOTOR, Mass Effect, stuff like that. They left to do something else. And unfortunately, in this day and age, I guess their studios couldn't get enough funding to make these projects, or it just wasn't coming together, because now it's 2 studios closed, and that's frustrating because I was looking forward to seeing what they were cooking up. And along with that, more downer news for Mortal Kombat fans. There is a rumor right now, like there is like a leaker suggesting that a 3rd fighter pack DLC has been canceled, and any future content stuff like another story expansion has been canceled. This leaker suggests that this new DLC wave has been canceled because of the tepid response to Chaos Reigns, that big DLC expansion. It seems like that didn't do as well as they were hoping. So the leaker, Fate Unknown, suggests that the DLC for Mortal Kombat, like any future stuff, and also like a 3rd fighter pack, like, is not a thing. So again, not officially confirmed or anything like that, but curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see what NetherRealm says, if they confirm or deny it. And also, it's a bummer because I always just look forward to them dropping more characters in their games because they always make it exciting and interesting. And in small but cool news, CD Projekt Red did announce that The Witcher 4, or whatever their next Witcher project is, Project Polaris, has entered full production. This essentially means all hands on deck are now, after like planning and everything like that, are hands on deck, like working on creating the game. So it's probably still going to be years before we see the next Witcher thing, but it's nice to see that work has started on it and it's coming down the pipeline sooner or later. Will we see it before the next Elder Scrolls? Who knows? Now, in some new game trailers and stuff, I wanted to point out this Project Mugen, which we've talked about in the past. You may have seen this as a splashy kind of anime style game that looks like a mix between Jet Set Radio Future and heavily inspired by Spider-Man 2018 swinging around, but like a lot of cool enemy designs and destruction. It has a new title. It's called Ananta, and it's got like a new teaser trailer, so it is still a thing. We haven't heard about it in a while, so I figured I'd give that a mention. Also, check this out. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this. This is Light of Motiram, if I'm saying that right, and this has gained traction on social media after it was announced as basically a Horizon Zero Dawn clone. This is a open world multiplayer survival game, but very much centered around tribal-like people and robotic dinosaurs and that Monster Hunter style gameplay, like you're dodge rolling. Like, it just, people have pointed out the similarities are like really, really on the nose, and people have been using the word clone or ripoff or bootleg Horizon. But I'm curious to see what you guys think looking at this. Do you think those criticisms are harsh or not so much? I would say just like don't write this off immediately, because I've seen games be announced that look like total rip-off clone things and then they end up doing well. I mean, this is like a really extreme example and people are going to get mad at me, but do you remember when Genshin Impact was announced and the first screenshots and videos of it, people were like, this is just Breath of the Wild. This is just a Breath of the Wild ripoff. And now look at Genshin Impact. Whether or not it actually turned out to be like a Breath of the Wild ripoff, I don't think it was at all. But yeah, I mean, that game went on to do bananas numbers still to this day. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, don't discount everything right away. Don't write things off right away. We'll have to just wait and see where this one goes. Obviously, Genshin Impact, very different case scenario, but I still thought it was a good example. Anyway, some new game trailers and stuff to talk about. Of course, all the stories, all the trailers and stuff I talk about will be linked in a description down below. But there is new Avatar Frontiers of Pandora content. This is the story pack, Secrets of the Spires. This is out now. Also, an announcement trailer for Hunting Simulator 3. If you want to get her done with this, there you go. Also, Subside. This is like a VR experimental aquatic experience. I don't think it has a release date yet, but it looks kind of cool. Also, Nine Sols is on console now, so like PS5 and Xbox. This is a game that some of the gameranx crew behind the scenes, specifically one of our writers, Eric, has been raving about this game and says it's like a Game of the Year contender. We put it in a lot of videos. It is really, really cool. It's very challenging. If you're looking for a kind of Hollow Knight Souls-esque experience, this is your game. So it's cool that now it's on consoles. Also, check out Héla. This is like an open world, kind of like a more like low-key vibe rat game where you're just like running around with your rat friends. No thanks. Ugh, I've seen enough rats in my life. Also, a clip for Secret Level, that Amazon Prime show that's going to use like real video game properties and stuff like that. They released a clip. It's Armored Core featuring Keanu Reeves, of all people. It's cool that they put Keanu Reeves in it, but putting him in the Armored Core one, I would have liked to have seen him like be in like the Sifu one, or I don't know, the Mega Man one. I don't. Anyway, this show is dropping on December 10th, and I'm curious to see what the deal is with it finally, because a lot of good people are involved. But last but certainly not least, I just wanted to point out some good news. This is a follow-up from something I believe we may have, or somebody reported like back a while ago. A terminally ill Borderlands fan, his name is Caleb, had like essentially reached out and been like, I would love to see Borderlands 4, essentially before he dies, because he's going through stage 4 cancer, and it seems like Gearbox has granted his wish. They apparently flew him and his friend out to Gearbox Studios to like check out the game, the work in progress game and everything. So he actually wrote some of his impressions. He said, we got to play what they have for Borderlands 4 so far, and it was amazing. I don't know if I will be around when the game comes out, but I just want to say thank you to all of you for all of your love and support and for helping and make this happen. It truly was an amazing experience, and it was just awesome. I love that. I get very cynical about the internet. I mean, like, look at the internet, look at comments. Things get rough out there, man. But it's nice to see that communities, specifically the gaming community, can come together and raise awareness for a fan who just wants to see some Borderlands 4 before they go, because they love Borderlands, and it worked, and they got to see it, and that's a win. So I think that's a good way to end this week. I definitely want to know what you think about this story and everything else we talked about. Let me know. Did you struggle with Flight Simulator 2024 at launch? What do you think about Sony making a new handheld, a Vita 2, whatever you want to call it, the new game trailers? Let's talk about all that stuff down in the comments. If you want to yell at me directly, you can find me I'm on all of them. Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, kind of Threads. Just hit me up. Look up my name, Jake Baldino. But thank you for being here. I'm here every Friday to get you quickly caught up on the news and catch me on the Before You Buys. Of course, we're going to have one on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle when that releases. So keep your eyes peeled for that as the year winds down. But I'm Jake Baldino. All I ask is you have a great weekend. Be safe. Pizza's on me.